السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. منطقة تعرف بأرتساخ بالأرمنية تشهد واحدا من أكبر الصراعات وأقلها من حيث التغطية الإعلامية. هي المنطقة الساخنة ناغورنو كاراباخ، حيث التوترات العسكرية تتصاعد وشبح الحرب يخيم ويهدد بتداعيات قد تتسرب إلى الدول المجاورة. عن هذا الصراع والمواقف النارية نتحدث مع الناطق باسم رئيس إقليم ناغورنو كاراباخ ديفيد بابايان من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. هو إقليم ناغورنو كاراباخ أو جبال الحديقة السوداء بالروسية، ويعرف الإقليم باسم أرتساخ في أرمينيا، وهي كلمة مكونة من جزئين: الأول آرا وهو إله الشمس عند الأرمن القدماء، والجزء الثاني يعني الغابة أو الكرمة، لذلك يعني الاسم بالأرمنية غابة الإله آرا أو كرمته. بدأت جذور الصراع بين الإقليم وجمهورية أذربيجان في الحقبة السوفيتية في عشرينيات القرن الماضي، حيث منحت السلطة السوفيتية كاراباخ صلاحية الحكم الذاتي داخل جمهورية أذربيجان، وهو ما كان أشبه بقنبلة موقوتة بحسب المراقبين. ظل الوضع على حاله حتى شباط فبراير 1988 حين طلب المجلس السوفيتي الكاراباخي من موسكو انضمام ناغورنو كاراباخ إلى أرمينيا، خطوة اعترض عليها القادة الأذريون لدى سلطة موسكو. وسرعان ما تشابك الأذريون مع الأرمن في كاراباخ لتتحول الاشتباكات بسرعة فائقة إلى حرب أهلية خلفت آلاف القتلى والجرحى ولاجئين على كلا الجانبين. وفي كانون الأول ديسمبر 1989 ازداد الموقف تعقيدا بإعلان المجلس السوفيتي الأرمني توحيد إقليم ناغورنو كاراباخ مع جمهورية أرمينيا. وبعد انهيار الاتحاد السوفيتي أعلن الانفصاليون في إقليم كاراباخ في مطلع 1992 الاستقلال عن أذربيجان ورفض الانضمام إلى أرمينيا. وفي عام 2002 أعلن الإقليم نفسه جمهورية مستقلة بيد أنه لم يلقى الاعتراف الدولي. السيد ديفيد بابايان المتحدث باسم رئاسة إقليم أرتساخ ناغورنو كاراباخ يشرح ما سيحل بالأذريين الذين يعيشون منذ مئات السنين في الإقليم، ولماذا لم يلقى الصراع في ناغورنو كاراباخ الانتباه الذي يستحقه من قبل المجتمع الدولي وحتى التغطية الإعلامية المناسبة، وهل يمكن لكاراباخ أن تؤدي دورا في استهلال تقارب ما بين روسيا وأمريكا. Mr. David Babayan, spokesman for the president of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, welcome to Dakhil from the inside, sir.
Thank you. It's a great honor.
It's a great honor to have you, sir. Well, Mr. Babayan, before we delve into talking about the dynamics of the region of Nagorno-Karabakh and whatever is going in and around Nagorno-Karabakh, allow us to have an overview of the status of Nagorno-Karabakh, especially now 1 year to the four-day war that took place in April back in 2016, please.
You know, Nagorno-Karabakh is a de facto independent state. You see, the international law actually cannot react properly to some international developments. And this is why several states emerged in the present-day political map of the globe. They are de facto independent, but international community has not recognized them. Or several countries recognize some of those states. So Nagorno-Karabakh belongs to this kind of category. But it doesn't mean that this state is not functioning. It's a functioning state. It has a very important weight in the Caucasian politics and also in maybe global politics, because Caucasus is a very strategic region.
Exactly.
This is why it's
South Caucasus.
Yeah, South Caucasus, and because it's very much related to the Northern Caucasus. Caucasus as a general, like a Middle East, it's a separate and very important region. So Nagorno-Karabakh is a state which actually exists since 1991, when it officially was proclaimed. But before that, Nagorno-Karabakh always maintained it has always some kind of state status. It was an autonomous region. In Middle Ages, it was part of Armenian kingdom, and later on
historically speaking.
Yeah, historically speaking, yeah. It was, it maintained its independence for many centuries. It was part of Persian Empire, but always enjoyed autonomy within this empire. So our...
But today, sir, we all know the dynamics and today calculations when it comes to politics and borders and, you know, the divisions or whatever. They don't take into consideration whatever was back in history. But yet you are saying that...
You are right, but you see, we are taking into consideration history, and this gives us a very specific and unique impetus. It's kind of energy, fuel, which actually fills our souls and hearts, and this helps, you know, run our country effectively.
Exactly.
This is why we always relate to history, because it's a source of you know, strength for us. Currently, it's a democratic state. It has its president, its parliament, its government, its judicial system. Well, it's a state which enjoys. We want to establish good relations with all countries, all religions, all peoples.
With Azerbaijan?
Even with Azerbaijan, because we are very much interested in peaceful settlement of the conflict with this country.
My question here, sir, and this is a question that many people might pose when it comes to such kind of conflict, which includes ethnicity, you know. What is going to happen to the Azeris, for example? I mean, those who have been living for hundreds of years back in Nagorno-Karabakh, they are part of this terrain, they are part of this culture, they are integrated in the society. It's not like if you are Armenian, you belong to this place, if you are Azeri, or if you are Kurd, or if you are whatever, any kind of other ethnicity, you belong to a specific area. Can't people be integrated and living together in harmony?
Of course, you see, Armenian people are very tolerant because of, again, our history. We were persecuted for many centuries, and we found refuge in many countries. So we in Lebanon too.
For example.
So this is why there is no nationalism or fascism or chauvinism among Armenians. And during the war with Azerbaijan, you see, it happened. The exchange of population took place. But now we are not against Azeri refugees coming back to our country. But in order this to happen, there should be several preconditions. First of all, the conflict itself should be settled entirely, you know, because no question should remain political, because otherwise their return will be very dangerous for those people, first of all, if we will have some political unsettled issues. And second, the return of refugees cannot be in one way, because we have 700,000 Armenians who left Azerbaijan, and these people also want to go back. This is why, if we can settle the return of both categories, then it is, of course, possible.
A resolution.
A resolution. And
for the
we never say that we are not going to receive Azerbaijani, ethnic Azerbaijanis, because it's a neighboring country. But they have to accept this too. We cannot, you know, deny the right of Armenians to return to Azerbaijan and give it only to Azeri refugees, because it's also a kind of discrimination.
Exactly, it has to be mutual, reciprocal.
Definitely.
Now, with so many conflicts around the world today, the Nagorno-Karabakh dispute hasn't received the attention it deserves by the international community, as you said, and even by the media coverage. Why?
Well, I think that there is some uniqueness in this conflict. Attention, maybe public attention, or I don't know, this kind of PR, or we don't see any lionizing of this conflict, but international community does pay attention to that conflict. This is why the Minsk group of the OSCE has been formed, and there are three great powers in this group.
Russia, United States, and France.
So we have 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, and 3 of them are co-chairs of this Minsk group. But you see, the conflict settlement should be viewed in two parallel directions. One is the settlement of the conflict itself, I mean the judicial settlement, the final settlement, all those negotiations. This is also very important, but because of the stance of Azerbaijan, distractive, they don't want to face the reality, they are not ready for compromises. This is very difficult. But the second direction, which is also a crucial one, is just to maintain peace and stability in the region. Because in case we have a long-term and wide war in that region, even Syria may look like a childish game, because here we have great powers just
so it's not
bordering the region.
It's not only like a neighboring, two neighboring countries
No,
fighting with
it's
each other.
much global,
it's not
because-
even a regional,
Yeah,
it's going to be a
because the
global.
origin of this conflict goes back to competition between great powers in early 20th century and on the eve of First World War. Suppose what happened if there will be a war, Turkey may intervene, Iran, Russia, United States, even in Georgia we will have some problems. So it will be a cause for Third World War.
Right. Now, allow us, Mr. David Babayan, to stop now for a short break. And after the break, we're going to discuss more the economic question in Nagorno-Karabakh region, but after the break, sir. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود. لا تذهبوا بعيدا.
في المفاهيم العامة ونتيجة النزاع على ناغورنو كاراباخ، فإن العلاقات التجارية مع الاتحاد السوفيتي السابق قد تعطلت كما يرى المتابعون. المنطقة بأسرها مليئة بالمصادر الطبيعية، وفرص الإنتاج تكاد تكون غير مستخدمة أبدا، كما أن الصراع أدى إلى فقدان مصادر مالية هائلة لدى الجانبين بسبب النفقات العسكرية. عوضا عن ذلك كان بالإمكان استخدام هذه المصادر للتطور الاقتصادي والمشاريع الإقليمية التي تقوي ازدهار المنطقة الاقتصادي. ديفيد بابايان المتحدث باسم رئاسة إقليم ناغورنو كاراباخ أرتساخ، كيف يوصف الوضع الاقتصادي اليوم في المنطقة وما مدى دقة هذه الملاحظة؟
It's a very interesting thing because many conflict regions, they do not develop properly. But the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic maybe is one of the few exceptions. Which demonstrate that conflict can give additional responsibility for development. You see, because you have to build a robust state. Otherwise, why you have chosen the path of self-determination if you cannot form and build normal and dynamically developing country? In our case, it was very difficult for several reasons. Why? First of all, the war. Second was the collapse of Soviet plant economy and the disruption of all former economic ties. And third was the total destruction of economy during the war. But you see, remarkably, we restored the economy. And our
The GDP also increased.
Yes, and we actually went through three phases. First was just reconstruction, recovery from all those, war traces. It was like in Halep in 1994, Nagorno-Karabakh Republic was like Halep now, totally. Now,
Total destruction.
Total destruction. And we actually managed to clean all those ruins and to rebuild our country. Then we started to develop economy. And now we entered a phase of dynamic development. For example, during the last 10 years, we managed to triple our GDP. And now we have several industries which are developing in a very fast pace. For example, the mining industry. We have even international investors in those, in the mining field. If 5 years ago we have only one minefield operating with international capital. Now we have 5, 6. We have a robustly developing agricultural sphere, and it's ecologically clean. It's a bioproducts, which are very good for health. And we have very developing tourism sphere and IT sphere. So, I mean, it's developing. Of course, we face various challenges because of our unrecognized status. It creates difficulties. We are deprived of international loans and credits. But on the other hand, it makes us, somehow find a better way for self-management and use our own resources properly. So the immune system of our economy is quite strong.
Okay. Now, so you're saying here that Nagorno-Karabakh, since April 2016, the 4-day war, up till now, up till today, it's very stable and the economy is even developing since back then.
Right.
But, why is everyone talking about a confrontation perhaps, or they are trying to talk about, the repercussions, the negative repercussions of a confrontation between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which could bring Turkey, as you said, and Russia into direct military contact, which is a global war actually, or draw even Iran into the conflict. To what extent are these scenarios likely to happen?
Yeah, these scenarios, but the likelihood is right now very low because we maintain military balance and great powers are not interested in such kind of development. This is very important.
Is there a military balance between you and Azerbaijan?
Yeah, because in case of its disruption, a new war is imminent. In April 2016, Baku saw that the military balance changed. This is why it tried immediately, you see. As to the such kind of information, then majority of this information is generated in Azerbaijan to hinder our economic development. Because when they say that there is could be a war, things like this, investors, because business is very sensitive.
Exactly, and tourism is very sensitive.
But actual dynamics show that, well, the inflow of tourists are skyrocketed after the April war. And economy is developing too. So I think much depends on our own abilities to run and manage our economy. If we create favorable conditions for investors, on the other hand, business doesn't recognize any borders. If it's profitable, everybody would invest, irrespective of recognition or not recognition. See what happened in Iraqi Kurdistan. This country is officially a kind of autonomous region, but de facto it's kind of independent and is developing. See what happened in Taiwan. China considers it to be part of its country, but it's de facto independent and it's one of the most advanced economic terms countries in the world. This is why much depends on the conditions for business, especially in an era of globalization.
Would you rather to be totally independent as a state or to be part of Armenia?
No, the problem is that we don't want and we will...
Because even Armenia, sir, they didn't recognize Nagorno-Karabakh as a republic.
Yes.
And
why?
This is...
Because of the negotiation process. But we don't want to be part of Azerbaijan. This is our main imperative.
This is the argument.
Yeah, the argument. Right now, and majority of people want to be independent because of also, developing our economy in a more effective way and don't become a burden for Armenia. But we are very much integrated. We are two different states, but we have one common motherland.
Allow me to ask you, sir, about the Russian stance, especially when it comes to the military issues, and supporting Azerbaijan with high-tech military arsenal, and at the same time they are totally supportive of Armenia, and there is a treaty of common defense, and that in case of war they're going to run for Armenia first, and they have also a contingent of 5,000 Russian personnel in the city Gyumri, I think, which is the second largest city in Armenia. How do you read, this? Well, they said that's a kind of, to maintain the parity, the equivalence.
Parity, and in order to understand the Russian strategic interests, just look at the map of Russia. It's a very gigantic and great country, and it borders with the Caucasus. So with the region, with the Southern Caucasus, and with Azerbaijan directly. So it borders with the conflict zone. This is why he's very much interested in keeping stability there. And we don't have to take exception at Russia to say that why it's developing ties with Azerbaijan, because it's a neighboring country. And we have very close ties with Russia too, historically and culturally, etc. This is why, and it doesn't mean that we have to develop our ties with Russia at the expense of other countries. Why? Because we are a diasporic nation, and we must have good relations with all countries where we have Armenian diaspora. This is why we can be a bridge, like a bridge between Iran and Russia, between Georgia and Iran, because we have Armenian diasporas everywhere.
Exactly, and talking about being a bridge, and now we know that there is an escalatory speeches and rhetoric and even, might when it comes to Russia and the US, particularly what happened recently and the American strike in Syria, and the Russians are very much irritated, and the statements are just going very high. Can Nagorno-Karabakh change such a contentious political setting and initiate a rapprochement between Russia and the US? And this is my last question for you, sir.
Actually, we would like to be, if we can be of any help. But in general, we enjoy good relations with all those countries because of our Armenian diaspora. This is why nobody can question or tell us, you have to maintain relations, you have to just choose between the two. No, it's not a policy, it's not a zero-sum game. It's a or, not or and or, it's and policy. We enjoy good relations with Muslim world because we have Armenian diaspora in the Middle East, with Iran, with Russia, with United States, with France, because we want to maintain our Armenian identity here too. And we must have good relations with all those countries. And we are very much we appreciate very much the stance of Lebanon, the stance of other Arab countries. We express and feel pain when we see the sufferings of those countries and peoples, and all those wars and bombardment and I don't know, all the conflict.
Right, sir. Mr. David Babayan, spokesman for the president of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, welcome always to الداخل and to Mayadeen TV.
Thank you, it's a great pleasure, and I would like just to greet all of you, all your people and all your viewers, because we respect very much your TV channel in Artsakh too.
Many thanks indeed, sir. We hope we can go and visit your place hopefully soon.
Anytime.
إن شاء الله. Many thanks indeed, sir. إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل بريدنا theinside@الميادين.net وصفحتنا على الفيسبوك من الداخل. من كل فريق عمل من الداخل من كل الميادين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.